Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm Damo, and on today's Peddler video, we're with the Lotus Evora S. We're going to do a long-term owner's review. Fans of the channel will know we've been going through all of the cars in the fleet, the Mazda MX5, the Peugeot 205 GTI and the Mercedes C350E. Today is the turn of the Lotus Evora. Okay, let's start by talking about what's gone wrong with it. Nothing. No, honestly, nothing. Nothing's gone wrong with this car. Had it nearly a year now. Nothing what's gone wrong with it, which is kind of odd because my last Evora couldn't help but go wrong all the time, although it never let me down. Don't get me wrong, Evoras are great cars, but my last one had been tracked. This has been on the track actually, but I don't think quite as many times. My last one had been tracked a lot. The gearbox rebuild and new clutch because of being tracked should have told me all I needed to know, but it's not just that, it's everything else around the engine when it gets hot that I think you've got to really modify. If you're going to track an Evora, you need to upgrade the brakes, any car that you're going to track, the exhaust, probably the suspension. I mean, it's pretty good, but it is a road car. The Evora is built out of the box as a road car. It's not designed to be a track car. My starter motor packed up in my last Evora as well, and I'm pretty much convinced it was because of where it is situated in the engine and the fact that the engine got very, very hot as a result of all those track days. Anyway, none of that should detract from the fact that this current 2011 Evora S, coming up to however many miles, 69,000 miles so far, nothing's gone wrong. Oh, and if you are thinking of buying a Lotus Evora, or any Lotus for that matter, you do a lot worse than buying yourself a pair of driving shoes. These are very, very cheap. I actually bought them second hand and paid a tenner for them. They're called L-Deck, but you can get them on Amazon for about 40 quid. It really, really helps with the curved heel when you're, and the narrowness of the boot when you're controlling the car. This might sound obvious if you're a motoring enthusiast, but if you're not and you're new to the brand, having a pair of driving shoes really helps. How could it be improved? Well, most of the improvements that you could make to a Evora were done during its life cycle. The original Evora and the Evora S kind of got reworked with the 400, the 410, all of those later models. So things like the build quality, which, let's face it, they were built largely by hand in a shed in Norfolk, did improve somewhat, but the early ones, I think has been said many times, do leave a little to be desired. But most of those early sort of build quality niggles, most people have got them sorted out, which is great. The ease of getting in and out was also sorted with the later models, with the sill at the side of the door, making it a little bit more elegant when you're putting your posterior in and out of the car. If you really want to go all out and be a true British sports car driver, you do a lot worse and get yourself a pair of brown leather driving gloves. Oh yes. What niggles does it have? So I think I've covered them a lot in my other videos on my last car, but I've sort of noticed since I've been driving this car, with the heater dial turned up to the top temperature, to actually get any heat you do need to turn the fan speed on to at least 1. It doesn't just kind of give you a bit of heat. That's super minor. Can be leaks with an Evora. Never had a problem with my last one, don't have any problems in this one, although there is history with this one that suggests that it did have problems with leaks, usually wet carpet in the footwells. Obviously that's where water goes to, and it was as a result of the trim on the A-pillar on the passenger side letting water in. So that was removed, I think by Lotus themselves, refitted or replaced. Ever since then it's been okay. I have seen posts online with people who've modified or added additional seals to their doors, because I've even heard someone suggested drilling holes in your doors so that the water drains out. You don't really want to do that, that doesn't sound good. But yeah, look at those seals. But this, niggles wise, doesn't have any of that, which is great. One specific niggle unique to this car, it's got a Pioneer Avic head unit in, which is overall pretty decent. It has DAB radio, it has sat nav, but most crucially it has Apple CarPlay, which is very cool. It's quite an old version of Apple CarPlay. The display resolution leaves a little to be desired. I think it's probably one of the first early double-din head units to come with Apple CarPlay. It works generally okay most of the time. However, it has been known to freeze and lock up. Bit annoying. It eventually will reboot itself after sort of a few seconds, I want to say. Feels like a lot longer. But again, that's not a slight on the car at all. It's just a particular head unit that's in this car. Finally then, let's talk about what we love about it. Well, what I like about the Evora S, the ingenuity of this car. Find another 2+2 mid-engined coupe vehicle. There really aren't any. There's the Ferrari Mondial and there's the BMW i8. And then beyond that, I think you're really struggling. So I like the ingenuity of it. You don't get 2+2 in the new Emira either, which is a bit of a shame. So you've got the ingenuity, and along with the ingenuity comes uniqueness. The Evora wasn't a massive sales success, unfortunately. Consequently, there aren't many of them around, and it's looking like they're going to be heavily outnumbered by the Emira. So they're quite rare things. It's not often you'll see one coming the other way against you on the road. In fact, I can count on one hand the amount of times that's happened if I add in the year I've owned this and the 2 years that I owned my other one. It uses the famed Toyota Camry engine, obviously been heavily tuned by Lotus, but that does mean that this car is reliable, which is handy. You can work on them yourselves. A few of the jobs will need to have the clam removed, and that's where costs start to rise, like getting the clutch, albeit there is a vicious rumour that some specialists are able to do it with the clam in place. Don't know how true that is, but generally, yeah, it's pretty reliable. I remember doing a very long journey in my last one, and it was super comfortable as well. Thing that I also like about the early Evoras, and it's a personal preference, I like the dash layout, the way it curves around. If you open the door, you can see the door sort of curves into the dash. I like the dials. They're kind of basic red needles on white lettering, but it has a bit of, it reminds me of any time you see a concept car at a show. Generally they don't kind of over egg the instrumentation on them. So you see a concept car at a show, it would generally have circular dials and a kind of needle. I mean, they're all screens now anyway, but in the old days, we're going back to the 80s and 90s, and that's what this reminds me of. It's like driving a concept car, and that's cool. My last Evora was laser blue. This is bright red. Consequently, it does glean a lot of attention, more so than the blue one. So if you are after an Evora S, and I don't mind it, I quite like it, as long as nobody accuses it of trying to be a Ferrari or a fake Ferrari, get a bold colour. Get a bright colour. If you're going to do it properly. Get a burnt, bright orange, yellow. Get something that stands out. Okay, thanks for watching this pedal hour video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you haven't done, subscribe to the channel, write in the comments, tell us what you think. Look back at the other videos. We've got 4 cars on the fleet at the moment, and we've done videos on all of them recently, and we haven't bought a car for quite a while, so who knows, it's probably time that changed. Subscribe to the channel, see what happens next on Damo's Cars journey. Cheers.